Joining me to talk about these latest developments in Venezuela is Miriam Spritzer, a Brazilian journalist and Latin American expert. Miriam, thanks for being with us. Miriam, if Guaido is indeed prosecuted for defying his travel ban, what kind of reaction do you expect?
I think it would be a very bad move on Maduro to prosecute Guaido because the population is fully behind him. And I'm sure that if that happens, not only there will be a backlash toward the population will go to the streets and protest this as much as they can, but also the international communities. Now, the U.S. had made it very clear that if anything happens to Juan Guaido, they will take very serious actions. So there is a test of what's really going to happen if they do indeed prosecute and do anything against Guaido.
In the meantime, we're seeing Russia further its assistance to the Maduro regime. How is this impacting the opposition? Does the Russian presence there disincentivize people defecting from the military? Does it disincentivize further protests?
Well, you do have a lot of the military now that is the actual military that is no longer with Maduro, but you have the paramilitary that they call, which is people who are hired that are either soldiers from Cuba or people that are mercenaries that are in pro-Maduro. Now, with the help of Russia, what is showing is that Maduro doesn't have that much support at home anyway. But if Russia is still sending money, Russia is still sending some military support, that just prolongs Maduro in power. However, the issue in Venezuela is still going on. They still have no water, no electricity, no food, and that's bound to have a consequence to Maduro regardless.
Miriam, do you get the sense that Russia and the U.S. could be headed for some major showdown over Venezuela?
That can happen, and I think that right now all the options are on the table. Russia has been saying that they did not send any real soldiers. They're just sending technicians to assist, and now we know that it's a helicopter maintenance and training sector. So that shows also that Maduro is sending a lot of money into arms. So I think they are preparing for that, and in a way to scare the U.S. to come into a military to a military action towards Maduro. So there is a possibility of that. However, it is understood that most parts, all the players want a more diplomatic solution to this.
All right, Miriam, stick around. We do hope that diplomacy is the solution for Venezuela. We want to talk to you about some other developments, and this one has to do with Brazil and the Brazilian president being in Israel. It was another full day for Jair Bolsonaro. His 3-day trip to Israel has seen him receive a lot of praise in the country and also praise the country. And he has kept a few promises, but not all of them. Bolsonaro and Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu are calling this visit the beginning of a new era of relations between the two nations. i24's international correspondent Bianca Zanini caught up with the Brazilian president, who spoke to us about his historic visit.
The president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, wrapping up the 3rd day of a historic visit to Israel, combining the past with an emotional visit to the Holocaust Memorial Museum Yad Vashem, the future at a high-level innovation summit, and the president, when he took a moment to speak to i24News, answering what he feels about being in Israel at this moment.
First of all, I'm Christian, and I love Israel. And I really feel that atmosphere of cooperation between our countries is happening now. And we can improve it for the betterment of both of our people.
The Innovation Summit focused on increasing cooperation between the two countries on issues of trade, security, and technology.
From the moment President Bolsonaro took office, there's been a change in how Brazil views Israel and how Israel views Brazil. There's a lot of areas we can work together on. And his change in the political chain leads to development in the economic area, too.
Also present at the summit was Bolsonaro's son and senator of Rio de Janeiro. Like his father, Flávio Bolsonaro has a strong connection to Israel.
The choice to come to Israel was not random. It's a country we admire, a state we already know, a people that we respect. And it's a unique moment for the two people to develop this connection.
After yet another day of praising the multiple possibilities of this new friendship, Bolsonaro still leaves one promise unfulfilled so far.
There is a promise by the president to move the embassy of Brazil to Jerusalem. We know that will happen at some point. Certain commercial considerations must be taken first, but Brazil will know how to make this happen.
A blossoming new friendship, certainly. Now the question is if it will be a fruitful one too. Bianca Zanini, i24 News.
And back with us is Miriam Spritzer, Brazilian journalist and Latin America expert. Miriam, as we saw in Bianca's package there, President Bolsonaro hasn't yet declared that he's moving the Brazilian embassy to Jerusalem as promised, but he has taken many significant steps. He also took the big step of visiting the wall with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Do you get the sense that he's sort of testing the waters to see what kind of reaction his growing pro-Israel stance may have?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's doing. This is a big shift for Brazil. Brazil went from being from the external politics to be completely against Israel to being completely pro-Israel. So there is a lot of commercial aspects to it that will take place because Brazil exports a lot to Arab countries. So they are afraid that there will be a backslash towards that exportation. And I think so they're testing the water to see how the criticism will be and if, in fact, that will affect the commercial relationships.
Do you think that there'll be support for this within Brazil?
There is a lot of support on both sides. There is support for Brazil to maintain the embassy in Tel Aviv, but there is a lot of support for Brazil to change the embassy to Jerusalem. And that was one of the big promises that Jair Bolsonaro did on his campaign. So he does say that he has 4 years of mandate to get that done, and he does, in fact, want to get it done.
Yeah, it's a potentially good start, this first visit to Israel. Miriam, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Miriam Spritzer.